Okay, so are you ready to decode the language of the stars? Because today we're going to dive into how the movements of planets can actually influence different parts of your life. We're talking career relationships, even personality shifts.
Yeah, it might sound like something out of a sci-fi movie,
Yeah.
but it's a fascinating field called planetary transits. And our guide for this deep dive is the book Planetary Transits, How They Affect Your Zodiac Sign.
Right, so this isn't about your daily horoscope.
Yeah.
This is a deep dive into how those planets dancing around up there actually connect to what's happening down here.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So let's picture the solar system like a giant cosmic clock, with each planet like a hand on that clock.
Okay.
Now imagine a snapshot of that clock at the exact moment you were born.
Okay.
That's your birth chart.
Mm-hmm.
A unique map of where all the planets were at that very instant.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So then a planetary transit is what? When one of those clock hands moves and forms a specific angle to a planet in my birth chart.
That's it. As these planets move and form these angles, we call them aspects, they interact with the energies of your birth chart, and we believe impact different areas of your life.
That's fascinating. But I'm guessing not all planets have the same effect, right?
You're absolutely right.
Okay.
Let's break it down a bit.
Okay.
You've got your personal planets, the sun, moon, Mercury, Venus, and Mars.
Okay.
Think of them as the sprinters of the zodiac, influencing your day-to-day experiences from your mood to your relationships.
So these are the ones that make me want to hit snooze or go for that second slice of cake.
Maybe. Then we have the social planets, Jupiter and Saturn.
Okay.
They're more like marathon runners, shaping your personal growth and those bigger life lessons.
I'm starting to see the analogy here.
And finally, the outer planets, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto.
Okay.
They're the game changers, bringing transformation and often unexpected shifts.
Big changes.
Think caterpillar to butterfly.
Okay, I'm definitely intrigued.
Yeah.
Let's break down these cosmic dance moves planet by planet.
Let's start with the sun. The heart of our solar system. In astrology, the sun represents your core self, your vitality, your essence.
Okay.
It's about how you shine your light in the world.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
We all have that inner sunshine, right?
Exactly.
So what happens when the sun is transiting?
It's like a spotlight is shining on different areas of your life, potentially bringing opportunities, confidence boosts, even moments of self-discovery.
I like the sound of a cosmic spotlight.
Yeah.
So what does our source say about specific sun transits?
Well, there's one fascinating example about the sun transiting your natal Venus.
Okay.
Think of it like an extra dose of love and beauty in your life.
Okay.
It could be anything from deepening existing relationships to attracting new opportunities and even, yes, financial abundance.
Okay, now you're speaking my language. Let's move on to the moon. I've always been fascinated by its connection to our emotions.
It's like the mood ring of the cosmos, constantly changing. The moon shifts signs every 2 to 3 days. So it's really about those more subtle day-to-day fluctuations in how we're feeling.
That explains a lot.
Right.
What kind of impact can we see when the moon is transiting?
It could amplify your intuition, bring up hidden emotions, even just make you a little more aware of your feelings.
Okay.
For example, when the moon transits your natal Mercury, you might find yourself thinking and communicating in a more introspective way.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
It makes you want to pay attention to those subtle shifts in your inner world, doesn't it?
Definitely.
What about Mercury, the planet of communication?
When Mercury is on the move, it can really impact how you process information, express yourself, make decisions.
Oh.
It's a great time for brainstorming, mental agility, problem solving.
So if I'm feeling extra quick-witted, that might be Mercury's doing.
Perhaps. The book actually gives a specific example.
Okay.
When Mercury transits your natal Saturn, that notorious taskmaster of the zodiac,
Oh, yeah.
it could be the perfect time to buckle down and focus.
Okay.
Maybe tackle that project you've been putting off, or dive into some serious research.
Now that's a transit I could use in my life. What's next on our planetary tour?
Let's talk about Venus,
Okay.
the planet of love, beauty, and everything that sparkles.
Sparkles. I love it.
When Venus is transiting, it's like the universe is sending you a little extra dose of sweetness.
I'm all for a little more sweetness in life.
Well, Venus transits are all about connection, harmony, pleasure, and indulging your senses. Think of it as a great time for art, music, connecting with loved ones, or even just treating yourself to something beautiful.
It's making me want to book a spa day already. Does the book give any specific examples?
Absolutely.
Oh, okay.
It says that when Venus transits your natal moon, it could deepen your emotional connections and bring a sense of warmth and intimacy to your relationships.
Okay. I'm already feeling the love.
good.
What about Mars, the planet of action and energy?
When Mars is transiting, expect a surge of motivation and assertiveness.
Okay.
It's a time to take action, go after what you want, and maybe even be a little bit bolder than usual.
So if I'm feeling like I could run a marathon or finally ask for that raise, that's Mars giving me a push?
It's certainly possible.
Okay.
And if we look at our source, one particularly powerful transit is when Mars transits your natal Jupiter, the planet of expansion and good fortune. This could be a time to take a leap of, go after those big dreams, or even just push yourself outside your comfort zone.
I'm starting to see how understanding these transits can be really empowering.
Yeah.
It's like you have a secret weapon. Okay, before we get too carried away, let's talk about Jupiter.
Yeah.
What does this planet of abundance bring to the table?
Jupiter's all about expansion, growth, good luck, and seeing the bigger picture. When Jupiter's transiting, it's often a time of optimism, opportunity, and even a sense that things are falling into place.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah. Welcome back to our Cosmic Deep Dive. We've been exploring how planetary transits, those celestial movements, can actually influence our lives in ways we might not even realize.
Yeah. It's like a secret language the universe is speaking to us, and we're finally starting to understand it. We left off talking about Jupiter, that planet of good fortune and expansion. So I'm curious, does the book give any specific examples of how Jupiter transits might play out in our lives?
It does. One that really stood out is about Jupiter transiting your natal sun.
Okay.
It suggests that this period could bring personal breakthroughs, maybe some recognition for all your hard work, or even a chance to really step into your power.
So it's like Jupiter is giving you that extra boost of confidence and support to go after what you want. I like it. But what about Saturn? I know that one has a bit of a reputation for being the tough love planet.
It's true that Saturn often gets a bad rap, but its energy is really about helping us grow and mature. Think of it like a cosmic coach, pushing you to reach your full potential, even if it means facing some challenges along the way.
So instead of seeing Saturn transits as obstacles, maybe we should view them as opportunities to learn and become more resilient.
Exactly. It's about building a solid foundation for the future. The book highlights a particularly significant Saturn transit called the Saturn return.
Okay.
It happens around ages 29-30 and again around 58-60.
Oh, wow.
And it's often a time of major life reassessments and transitions.
I can see how that would be a pretty intense period. It's like Saturn is saying, okay, time to take stock of where you are in life and make some big decisions.
Right. And those decisions, while they might feel difficult at the time, often set us on a path toward greater fulfillment and authenticity.
I'm starting to think we need to rebrand Saturn as the wisdom planet instead of the taskmaster. Okay, on to the outer planets. Let's talk about Uranus, the planet of change and the unexpected.
Uranus is like the cosmic wild card, shaking things up and bringing sudden shifts and breakthroughs. When Uranus is transiting, you might feel a strong urge to break free from old patterns and embrace something new, even if it's a little bit unconventional.
So if I suddenly decide to shave my head and join a rock band, I can blame it on Uranus.
Well, Uranus transits are certainly known for prompting those aha moments and sudden bursts of inspiration. The book mentions that when Uranus transits your natal Venus, for example, it could bring unexpected changes in your relationships or even a sudden shift in your artistic tastes and creative expression.
It sounds like Uranus keeps things interesting, to say the least.
Definitely.
What about Neptune? I've always been drawn to its mystical energy.
Neptune is all about dreams, intuition, and connecting to something beyond the material world. When Neptune is transiting, it can be a time of heightened sensitivity, spiritual exploration, and even a blurring of the lines between reality and fantasy.
So it's like we're putting on our rose-colored glasses and seeing the world through a more imaginative lens.
It can feel that way. Neptune encourages us to tap into our creativity and intuition, but it's also important to stay grounded.
Right.
The book cautions that during Neptune transits, it's wise to avoid making major decisions based solely on feelings or gut instincts, as things might not be what they seem.
That's good advice. It's like that saying, trust your gut, but verify. Okay, last but certainly not least, let's talk about Pluto. I have to admit, I find this planet a little intimidating.
Pluto is definitely the heavyweight of the zodiac.
Yeah.
It's associated with transformation power and those deep, often subconscious forces that shape our lives. Pluto transits can be intense, but they also offer incredible opportunities for growth and evolution.
So it's like Pluto is the cosmic therapist helping us face our shadows and emerge stronger on the other side.
I like that analogy.
Yeah.
Pluto transits often bring about those Phoenix rising from the ashes, moments in our lives where we let go of what no longer serves us and step into a more authentic version of ourselves.
I can definitely see the value in that, even if it's not always easy. Does the book highlight any specific Pluto transits?
One that really stands out is when Pluto transits your natal sun.
Okay.
This can be a time of major identity shifts, of feeling of being called to a higher purpose, or even just a profound realization of your own power.
It sounds like Pluto transits are not for the faint of heart, but they definitely have the potential to be transformative. Okay, so we've covered all 10 planets and their unique energies.
Right.
It's a lot to take in.
It is.
Mm-hmm.
But the beauty of astrology is that it's a lifelong journey of discovery.
Right, and I imagine that as we learn more about these planetary influences, we can start to work with them more consciously instead of feeling like we're at their mercy.
Absolutely. And the Navigating the Cosmic Dance section of our source material offers some practical advice on how to do just that.
Okay, so how do we actually use this knowledge to our advantage? Do we need to become expert astrologers to decipher these cosmic messages?
You don't need to have a degree in astrology, but a little curiosity goes a long way. Luckily, there are lots of great resources available.
Like what? Give me the cosmic cheat sheet.
Well, first off, there are tons of great books, websites, and even apps that can help you track your personal transits. You can input your birth date, time, and location, and it will calculate your unique birth chart and show you where the planets are transiting in relation to your chart.
That's pretty cool. So we can actually see those cosmic dance moves happening in real time.
Exactly. And once you have that information, you can start to notice how those transits are playing out in your own life.
Okay.
Are you feeling more energetic and assertive during a Mars transit?
Okay.
More introspective and emotional during a Moon transit?
So it's about paying attention to those subtle shifts and seeing if they correlate with what's happening in the cosmos.
Right.
I like it. But what if we are facing a particularly challenging transit? What advice does the book offer for navigating those tougher times?
It emphasizes the importance of self-care, finding healthy outlets for those intense energies, and remembering that even the most challenging transits are temporary.
So it's like riding a wave. Sometimes you're cruising, sometimes you're wiping out, but you always come back up for air eventually.
That's a great way to put it. And during those wipeout moments, it's important to be kind to yourself, seek support from loved ones, and engage in activities that bring you joy and nourishment.
Those are some wise words. Okay, so we've talked about tracking transits, being mindful of our energy, and practicing self-care. What else can we do to really harness these cosmic influences?
One of the most powerful things you can do is align your actions with the energy of the transit.
What does that look like in practical terms?
Well, for instance, let's say you're going through a Jupiter transit, a time of expansion and opportunity.
Okay.
This could be an amazing time to take risks, pursue your passions, travel, or even just say yes to new experiences.
So it's like Jupiter is giving you a cosmic green light to go for it.
Exactly. But if you're going through a Saturn transit, a time of discipline and hard work, it might be a better time to focus on building structure, refining your skills, or even just buckling down and getting things done.
It's about working with the energy, not against it. Okay, I'm really starting to see the power of this. It's like we have a secret weapon if we know how to use it. But I have to admit, there are still times when I feel a bit lost or confused.
Yeah.
Like, how do we know which transits are most significant? Are they all equally important?
That's a great question, and it's where working with a professional astrologer can be incredibly helpful.
Right, because they can look at your individual birth chart and see which transits are most relevant to you.
Exactly. It's like having a personalized cosmic coach who can help you interpret those planetary messages and navigate your unique astrological landscape.
That sounds pretty amazing. Okay, so for those of us who are just starting to explore the world of astrology, is working with an astrologer a good place to start?
Absolutely. They can help you understand your unique cosmic blueprint and empower you to work with those planetary energies in a way that feels aligned and authentic.
Okay, I'm sold. But even if we don't consult with an astrologer right away, there are still things we can do on our own to deepen our understanding, right?
Definitely. One of the simplest yet most powerful practices is to simply become more aware of the planets and their movements. You can start by reading astrology books and articles, following astrologers on social media, or even just taking a few moments each day to look up at the night sky and contemplate the vastness of the cosmos.
I love that. It's like a reminder that we're all part of something much bigger than ourselves.
Exactly. And as we become more attuned to the rhythms of the cosmos, we naturally start to align ourselves with those energies.
So it's not just about understanding the technical aspects of astrology. It's about cultivating a sense of cosmic awareness.
That's beautiful. Okay, before we move on, I have a burning question that I have to ask.
Go for it.
We've been talking about how these planetary transits can influence individuals, but can they also affect larger groups of people like communities, nations, or even the entire world?
That's a fascinating question. And it's one that astrologers have been exploring for centuries through a branch of astrology called mundane astrology. Okay, now you've really piqued my curiosity. So is there an answer? Can the movements of the planets actually influence the course of history?
That's where things get really interesting.
Right.
Welcome back to our deep dive.
I know, I'm so fascinated by this.
It's juicy stuff, right?
It really is.
So we're talking mundane astrology, the idea that planetary cycles might actually correlate with things happening on like a global scale, from like technological advancements to social movements and even political upheavals.
Yeah, it's a pretty mind-blowing concept.
It is. It's a big one.
Where do we even begin to unpack something this massive?
Well, our source suggests that one way is to focus on those outer planets, the ones with the longer orbits.
Okay.
Think Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto.
Mm-hmm.
Because they move so slowly through the zodiac, their influence can often be felt across generations, shaping entire eras.
So it's like these outer planets are setting the stage for like the big picture trends and shifts in society.
Precisely. For example, the book talks about how the discovery of Uranus back in 1781 coincided with the Age of Enlightenment, a period of revolutionary ideas, scientific breakthroughs, and a major shift in thinking that swept across Europe and even influenced the American Revolution.
Wow. That's a pretty compelling connection.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder if those revolutionary thinkers were like tapping into some Uranian energy without even realizing it.
Right.
What about Neptune? How does that dreamy, mystical planet factor into mundane astrology?
Neptune's influence is often more subtle, less about dramatic upheavals and more about shifting cultural tides and collective ideals.
Okay.
The book highlights how its discovery in 1846 coincided with the rise of Romanticism in art and literature, a movement that emphasized emotion, intuition, and a connection to nature.
Okay.
It was also a time of growing social awareness and reform movements, like the push to abolish slavery.
So Neptune's transit might be less about like a sudden revolution and more about like a gradual shift in consciousness, planting the seeds for change on a deeper level.
Exactly. It's about those undercurrents of thought and feeling that eventually shape the course of history. And then there's Pluto, the planet of transformation, power, and rebirth. Its discovery in 1930 coincided with one of the most tumultuous periods in modern history.
Oh boy.
We're talking the rise of fascism, the Great Depression, and World War II.
Okay, Pluto definitely makes a grand entrance. It's almost like those intense Pluto transits were like reflecting the upheaval and transformation happening on a global scale.
It's certainly a fascinating correlation, isn't it? Pluto's energy is about breaking down old structures and systems to make way for the new, even if it's through periods of chaos and destruction.
Yeah, it's like the cosmic phoenix rising from the ashes. So we've got these outer planets setting the stage for those bigger historical trends, but what about the faster moving planets like Mercury, Venus, and Mars? Do they play a role in mundane astrology too?
Absolutely. While their influence is more short-lived, they can still have a noticeable impact on world events. Mercury, for instance, is all about communication information and how we connect with each other. So a Mercury retrograde period known for communication glitches and mishaps might actually be reflected in global affairs as well, potentially leading to misunderstandings between nations or disruptions in trade and travel.
So it's like those Mercury retrograde headaches we experience on a personal level could be playing out on a much larger scale.
It's very possible.
Wow. What about Venus and Mars? How do those energies manifest in mundane astrology?
Well, Venus, the planet of diplomacy and harmony,
Okay.
is often associated with periods of peace, cooperation, and cultural exchange between nations. So when Venus is transiting through, say, a sign that represents diplomacy, we might see more peace treaties being signed or a surge in cultural events that bring people from different backgrounds together.
That's a beautiful image. It's like Venus is weaving a tapestry of connection and understanding between nations.
I love that. And then there's Mars, the planet of action, energy, and yes, sometimes conflict.
Oh, yeah.
Its transits can coincide with periods of heightened military activity, political tensions, even outbreaks of war.
So if we see Mars, let's say, squaring off against Pluto in a sign that represents global power struggles, we might want to brace ourselves for some, like, intense geopolitical conflicts.
It's certainly a possibility, though. It's important to remember that astrology is not about predicting the future with certainty.
Right.
It's more about recognizing potential and understanding the underlying energies at play so we can hopefully make more conscious choices.
That's such a crucial point. So instead of seeing mundane astrology as some kind of predetermined fate, it's more about using that knowledge to understand those recurring patterns throughout history and maybe even navigate those challenges with more awareness and wisdom.
Precisely. It's about becoming more conscious participants in the unfolding of history, recognizing that we have a role to play in shaping a more peaceful and harmonious world.
Okay, I'm officially fascinated by this whole concept of mundane astrology. I feel like we've only just scratched the surface.
There's so much more.
What resources would you recommend for our listeners who are eager to dive deeper into this?
There are some fantastic books and websites out there that delve into the complexities of mundane astrology.
Okay.
You can also find astrologers who specialize in this area and offer consultations or workshops. It's a fascinating field of study, and the more we understand those larger planetary influences, the more empowered we become to navigate the challenges and opportunities of our time.
Absolutely. We'll be sure to include some recommendations in the show notes for this episode. So as we wrap up this deep dive, I just want to say that exploring the world of planetary transits, both on a personal and global level, has been truly mind-expanding.
It's been a pleasure sharing this journey with you.
And to our listeners, we encourage you to keep looking up at those stars and remember those celestial bodies might just be whispering secrets about not just our individual lives, but the very fabric of our world. Until next time, keep exploring.